Hi, everybody. This is the part 2 to our ship discussions, and again with me, friend Marita from the website the Golden Race, or I might pronounce it wrong, but in English it's the Golden Voyage. The website link will be at the end of this video. And we're just having a comfortable discussion about our experiences and our findings on the ship that we found ourselves on, as well as the changes on the planet and things that we've experienced as well. Marita, how are you doing?
Hi.
How have you been?
Hi. I'm fine. I'm also a little bit ill, but all is doing with the process and letting go, and yeah, being ill can also mean you're feeling fine because your body is clearing up and getting rid of stuff you don't need anymore. So that's real. It feels like being lifted up, and it's during the night, so it makes you're not sleeping so well. So that's not so fine. But yeah, I will sleep the night, the coming night. So it's no problem. I always feel fine when I'm sick. It sounds strange, but I have always felt, or as a child also, when you are sick, when you have the flu or something else, then that means that your body is working hard to get rid of stuff you don't need anymore.
Mm.
So sickness is also health.
Yeah. We were busy talking about the changes that we've both been experiencing around us on the earth and during this expanding process. And we were discussing particularly about fear as well, and how fear is affecting everyone as through their, it's what you've just mentioned now. You spoke about the feelings about feeling sick when it's a sign that you're actually healthy, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what you mentioned. So the same thing applies then for being afraid and being trapped in the releasing of things, which makes you feel stuck in the fight or flight syndrome. I call it a syndrome because it's a part of the program, or not a program, but it's part of what's inside of your brain. So you are experiencing that all the time, the fight or flight. So your adrenaline pumps up, and if you don't acknowledge that boost of adrenaline, then it becomes like an overload. So it tends to make you feel like you're afterwards, like you're super drained or even more sick or something like that. I think that is what people are going through right now. From where I am in my country, in South Africa, there is that aspect happening quite radically right now. People are afraid of letting go, and people are afraid of taking on. So it's like there's a fear. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're going to accept things or you're going to push against it, there's a fear of that particular process. And I think it's got to do with existence, being alive. So yes.
People are always confused when the things are changing.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not it doesn't matter if it's a good thing to change in a good thing or to change in a bad thing. Change is always confusing and always building up fear, and people are getting, yes, it's hard to explain. There's something worrying inside of them, and they don't know what to think about that or how to explain it, and then fear is coming, because it's not familiar, and when it's not familiar, yeah, then we have fear.
Yeah.
And when we act out of fear, then we are doing things we rather wouldn't want to do, but we do it because then the fear is not as heavy. So we think we have control. We always want to control everything. But when you are able to let go of the control and to have faith, then the fear isn't, it can't touch you anymore. And when you have faith, and you don't have to believe in anything, but you have to have faith in yourself. You don't have to believe in a religion or to have to believe in anything, but just in yourself, and that it will be okay. Wherever you are, whatever you do, it is okay. And you don't have to do anything to other people what you don't want to do to yourself. So
I agree with you there. It's quite an involved process once you're actually letting go of the things that you have associated yourself with, or the layers of perception that you may have created around you. And releasing all of that is like a sense of dying as well. When you don't have all of the excuses, when you don't have all of the reasons or the beliefs or any of those things, all you've got is really yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, how long can you look at yourself without wanting to look away? You know, that sort of thing. It boils down to the heart. It always does. From what I'm understanding, what you're saying, faith in oneself has got a strong heart sense about it. I feel our experiences that we've had on the ship, I'm going to bring a little bit of that information in, because we've both been there on and off at certain times. Would you like to add a few notes to that, to what you've experienced of late in terms of the ship?
What I have experienced lately is that I am just in some kind of a period of rest, because things are just changing things, and the information from the ship is like you have to continue to stay on where you are. Don't change anything, don't act on anything, just stay where you are. And just look what happens when you don't do anything. And a lot of things are happening, and I'm not doing anything. So you don't have to be in action all the time. And when you say fight or fly, you don't have to go and do something, but just stay and watch and be alert and be with yourself. The message from the ship is also that people are used to having somebody who is saying what to do. There's somebody authority. Somebody is the leader. And now it's time for all the people to be their own leader, to have their own responsibility. But then you have responsibility for self. and that's a big step.
Mm.
So that's why I at myself have to stay in where I am and to watch what is happening. So after a period of a week, 2 weeks, then I will know what to do.
Last time you and I spoke about the ship, you were in the pilot seat. I wanted to ask you about that particular thing. Now that you say you're in a place in a resting place, are you taking or is there a break that you're taking? Are there others who are busy piloting as well?
Yeah, there are a lot of different people who are piloting, but I'm not exactly a pilot. I am someone who is sitting on the controls, but not on the controls of the ship, but on the controls who are sending the messages to the Earth.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So you're basically in charge of sending out the information through the stream of consciousness onto this planet that it's expanding, correct?
yes.
Okay. Then it's very interesting that we're talking about this because I've heard that there is some kind of light anomaly that was witnessed a few 100,000 kilometers away in another galaxy, which has been picked up by some two observatories in, I think, in Hawaii. I'm not sure. And they actually saw this light. They call it well, I'm calling it a light anomaly from what they're calling it. So the first thought I had was that the ship has moved a little. So it's not stationed exactly where it was the last time we spoke. Obviously, we're moving the ship a little bit.
Yeah, the ship is coming nearby, so it's coming through the Earth. And when you mentioned the light they observed, then I get the words "it's us."
Okay, that's what I was wanting to check with you.
Yes.
Since we're doing astral travel and astral projection, sometimes you project yourself there, sometimes you astral travel there. That sometimes you have to analyze what you're experiencing and not just so analyzing it from an observational point of view where you basically are witnessing the new changes. So we are definitely sending out sending out this current, or I'm not calling it a beam of light. It's not a beam of light. It's a current of or frequency that's basically shutting down other existing frequencies that create some kind of mainframe to hold old aspects in place. So this new frequency is really just shutting it down very slowly. So we are on track in terms of that information. In the previous video that we made, I made a disclaimer saying that this has got nothing to do with any particular external protocols or external ships or external anything everywhere from any source or ETs or nothing like that, because this has got a metaphysical, metaphorical, internal, and etherical connection of a physical vessel that is in a hyperdimensional space and stasis. That is how I would be able to explain it. I don't really have the vocabulary to give it any much more definition other than what it is.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, the ship looks like a cigar. You mentioned the cigar earlier of the last time, and today you mentioned that some rooms are changing because there are not so much people anymore asleep, lying on the beds. There are more people awake,
Yeah.
and that the ship isn't like a car. A car is built and then its shape and it stays that way. The ship it looks like a cigar, but it can change. It's
Yes.
not a steady ship. It That's why it can't come on Earth and land on Earth
Yes.
because it's energy. It's
Exactly.
just built of energy, and it gets a form because we can identify it.
Yeah.
And
Now.
a lot of things are like that,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are seeing things like that, and they think it looks like, but it isn't,
Yeah.
and then they have no words for it to explain it.
Mm.
So just all the words you give to it, it's okay.
I'm going with that.
Yeah.
There's been some other people that have also experienced the ship. I'm thinking our discussion on it in the first video has definitely sparked some memory or thoughts to the particular process. I have been there again that you've mentioned, and I've seen more things. So I'm going to just read what I've seen and share this with you and hear how you feel and what you feel, what you've picked up and experienced as well. So notes on the ship in more detail, where I had particularly paid attention to how I went there, was through waves of energy. Now, this particular the cigar-shaped ship, as you mentioned, yes, it has a lot to do with the vessel in the way that we would experience the vessel to be. A car is a binary system where it starts from noughts and ones. This is beyond that. This is not even naught and one. This is like beyond noughts and one. So that was there was a pressure that was enveloping me, which I felt were some kind of wind as I was going through the field of energy. There were also streams of energy that were trying to compress me into a particular dimension or shape, which I managed to move away from. So it places a lot of compression and physiological impressions on the soul, spirit, vessel as you're doing astral traveling. I had a look at everything from where I was going, and I am seeing the simulation of this particular galaxy that we are in right now. I'm seeing there are streams or bands of energy. It looks like ribbons of energy. That's like it's weaved the basket or this galaxy. It's like a basket. It's woven into a basket shape or a D shape, like the letter D, except it's like the shape. Like the shape of a D. And so, okay, out from this physical form through the energy fields, and then manage to actually find the ship, and then actually panning back and looking at the galaxy for what it is, where Earth is in right now, where this home and this vessel is, having a 360 view of all of this. And I'm seeing that it's like a cone or a basket shape, which could also be a D, letter D, or it could look very similar to the pineal pine cone shape that the Sumerians have in those artifacts. I will put the image in, show what I think, because it's exactly the same shape. And that would be this particular galaxy, this simulated galaxy, okay, with the sun being in the middle and all of that. And spiraling the galaxy the what do you call it? That golden mean, the spiral, the golden mean. Okay, Fibonacci
Yeah.
shape spiral in this particular.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know what you mean.
with me
I
now.
can see the picture.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Good.
The
So,
golden sneder.
yes, 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 yes. Yes, I like that. I like that
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
So then everything that's inside of this little basket, it
Mhm.
reminds me a lot of the basket where Moses was in as well. It's funny how there's a lot of these things that come in. It can also, anyway, I'm just going off in thoughts here. It is these ribbons of energy that are around this particular
Mhm.
galaxy, okay? And then it looks like it's like a bubble. It looks like a giant bubble for the way that it's held together with all of this. Okay, and then I'm moving along from that. So I go into the ship again, and I'm looking on board the ship. There's a type of simulation projection room, or where all of these people are connected to. Their consciousnesses are holding this particular projection in place, and
Mhm.
it's like the holodeck of Star Trek. Okay, or Star.
Mhm.
Um, and there are people, some that are keeping it that way because we can't just let it go all at one with one shot. We have to systematically slow everything down and shut everything down systematically. Um, and it made me think of yeah, no, then I'm going a little further because I'm having a look at all of everything, and I'm seeing that the heart energy or the toroidal field that is the way that the heart is really this little simulated little basket or thing with the universe inside. It's like
Mhm.
inside of a greater, which is like a greater toroidal field sort of thing.
Mhm.
Here's the ship. There's a planet a little further back, and that planet is where we actually live. Um, well, that's the impression that I got. Okay, and so from that planet, there's energy coming out and going to the ship. The ship is now moved, and it's basically going like a surfer all around like that, and it's really sending energy out to kind of decompress or shut down these ribbons that are that have a lot to do with archetypal constructs, and it's basically shutting it down.
Mhm.
So there's the new um, some new information, and yes, you mentioned I did mention that there were a lot of people that are more awake now. So
Mhm.
the beds have moved. They're more moved into a room where there's more of a sort of a concentration of people now connected, while everybody else seems to be walking around and doing their thing and actually tapping into their uh, like avatars here.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there is no God singular. There's well, the word God is not the right word, but I'm going to use it for explanation purposes. There is a source, or not even source. There is a great spirit. I like the word great spirit. All of these are on the ship. Our great spirit. We are all the creator. There's no
Yes.
singular frequency. Anyway, there's my chunk that I've managed to share with you now. Um, what? How do you feel about what I've just shared with you? What would be your notes on it, if I may ask you?
Everything you told is really familiar. It's like yeah, that's the same I experienced about the ship and how it's where it is and what's surrounding it. When you talk about the basket, I see then what people call the matrix. So the matrix about around the Earth, I think there are a lot of baskets. We are in a big basket and a smaller basket and a smaller basket. So it's all because things have to be separated from other things. Otherwise, it will all flow in one, like it was before. Before everything started, it was all one. And now they have created the baskets. So, and who created the basket? It's the creator, and we are all the creators. So we all created the baskets.
Yes.
And we all created everything. And that's it's for our brain, our human brain. It's hard to
comprehend
to let that in how that it is in to compare it with our earthly existence. It's so big. It's so advanced. It's so it is hard to understand it all. Our brain is not, yeah, it's capable to understand it all, but it's not awake yet. It's coming awake every day more and more, but yeah, there are also energies who want to stop that the brain of humankind is waking up, but we will wake up because light will always overcome the darkness. And so what we are talking about is things a lot of people are experiencing. So that's why I really want to talk about it with you, so other people can also listen to it and think about their own experience, and maybe they are the same, maybe they are different, and that's all fine.
Yeah.
But you are talking about how to travel to the ship, so that you are going out of your body and then travel to the ship. I'm not doing that. I did that in the past, but now I'm expanding myself. So I stay in my body and I expand. So then when you expand, it's easier to shift out all things you don't want. So when you are expanding and you are noticing something that you don't want to that connects with you, so then you expand and it won't connect with you because you are just yeah.
It's like you biolocate, really, if the word is like, if there's a word that describes that, where you are multidimensional. You become multidimensional.
Yeah.
As if you're on the ship all at the same time while you're busy slicing yourself a piece of bread and making yourself a cup of tea. Right.
Yeah, you do all the things at once. So that's why for me it's not like I get the information. It's just just like you are making tea. You don't notice yet you're making tea because you do that. It's something you have done so many times. So you do that.
Yeah.
And that's how I experience the ship.
Okay.
I'm just there and I'm doing the things I do. So now we are talking about it. I have to think about it.
Yeah.
And then I can tell what I'm doing there. But for me, it's just like making tea.
You know, I know what you're saying, because if you wanted to observe something, I just chose to do the whole astral travel thing because I wanted to see outside. That's just my natural interest to want to see. But have you experienced where you're busy standing in your lounge or in your room and you're seeing someone's just walked through your lounge in a etheric way. You would want to interpret it that it could be a spirit walking through your lounge, but in actual fact, it's not. It's someone that's on the vessel, on the ship.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
they actually give off a kind of frequency that makes you feel a little disorientated at times. I've experienced that.
Yeah, that's a lot of happening
With you as well?
now. Yeah, yeah. Then you're kind of dizzy
Yeah,
and you're kind of unstable,
yeah,
but you're not falling down, and it's not dizzy like you don't. Yeah,
yeah.
when you have didn't eat breakfast or so, you can get dizzy because you are hungry or your body is
Mm,
needing food. But it's a different kind of dizzy.
yeah, yeah.
It's yeah.
It's
It
very similar to, it's not even your ears. It's like
no.
it's like a wind that moves you like this. Except
Yeah,
it's
like you are like a feather.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly like yeah,
yeah,
very much so.
yeah. Like you are really light, and that the wind can just blow you away like a feather.
Yeah, and
But you are not. You're not afraid you fall, or you're not afraid you are something is going wrong. It feels like it's fine. It's okay. It feels nice
yeah,
somehow. But our brain is thinking, oh, it's not good. So then fear is coming in. But when you stay with the first reaction, then it's nice. It's
mm.
nice to feel.
It is, eh? It's like a it's like a feeling of there's a little bit of an excitement feeling as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just, oh, okay, you just had this like moment where you just experienced something around
yeah.
you, and it tends to. So what I've noticed as well is it does create some physiological uh, changes in the body as well. Physically, I'm speaking for myself. I'm actually busy recovering from uh, flu, um, and the areas that you don't deal with or that you may have as a weakness. It's only a weakness if you haven't been able to deal with it. Comes up for um, elimination or observation or clearing out or something like that. Um, I had myself tell myself that really I need to work on my lymph drainage, my lymph nodes,
Hmm.
because it's connected to the electrical field that's inside of my body. Um, so I'm busy doing that. And yourself, you're also recovering from something as well. You're getting better, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, and also you are when you're sick, you're a long time sick.
Yeah.
You have to recover a long time. But for me, it's always just a day, 2 days, and then it's gone.
Okay.
It's always quick. And I think when you are able to see it like you are getting well because you're sick, then the process is faster.
Yes, I agree with you. The reason why I am taking longer than usual is because of some other aspects that I had to deal with, which obviously contributed to slowing everything down. But I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
normally, naturally speaking, it also happens and then I'm over it. Boom. Now
yeah.
it's taken quite a long time, but because of other issues and things that I've been having to work on, particularly with regards to the heart, and the way that one expresses through the heart. Um,
Hmm.
this is what I'm working on right now. It's always important to to work on the heart. It's almost like the armed heart is becoming the galactic heart, so to speak. I've been feeling for days now that I want to bring in something about the galactic heart, because that's what I feel where we are going towards. But that's a thought that I'm busy working on. So I think it is just what it is. We're just having to go through everything the way that we are in the timely manner. Not that time actually exists, but in the manner that the way that we can actually deal with it. Yeah. How are you feeling emotionally about all of this?
Excited.
Good, me too.
And that's also, yeah, conflicting with what you're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
and how you really feel. So that, but everything that is changing and everything that's going on, I feel excited, and even about all the bad things that happening to people, like terrorism and all kind of things like that. For me, it's all a sign that something is changing. That's why a lot of resistance is going on.
Yeah.
A lot of people want that it stays the way it always was, because that's familiar. But things are changing, and people are coming in opstand. They are going to do things to make it stay. And yeah, it won't work. So, but and yeah, we are in the human body, so we think, why have humans to suffer for the change? But for me, it's not that the human body is suffering, but the souls are not suffering. For our essence, it's good that everything is happening, because it means that we are going to the balance between all is in peace, because peace is not enough, and war is not enough. So it has to be in balance, and then it's not the extreme peace, and we have only flowers, and we only have some kind of music on the background, and everything is peaceful. That won't work. And everything in war, like we have done for decades, isn't working also. So, especially in Europe, we let go of war with weapons and so, and now it's coming back. The weapons are coming back, because we want to go to the old way. When things are changing, we always want to go back to the old way. A lot of people are saying, the euro, the coin euro, we don't need it anymore, because we have to go back to the gulden, the gulden from Holland, but we can't go back. We just can go forward.
Yes.
So we have to look what all we have. What's the best thing to do now? And not what we did in the past, but what will we do in the future.
When I look at what you're mentioning there, I'm seeing this I'm seeing it in another way as well. It's like the Chinese people, the geishas, where they had to wear shoes when they were little. Their toes would be bound into the shoe. And so it's taken 20 or 30 years for the foot to stay in this shape, where naturally it would be that way, but it's bound in. And it took that many years to get the foot under the circumstances to be molded in this way. There was pain involved, but you see, the person forgets how long it's taken and how painful it was to fold the foot in a back macabre, bound up place like this. So
Mhm.
getting the shoe off and then teaching the person to extend their feet, that your toes are not meant to be like this, it's actually meant to be like this, is also probably going to be more painful, because
Yeah.
the old order, the old way of binding your consciousness. So yeah, it's exciting times, and it's also very delicate times
Yeah.
that we're going into now. And we are both very optimistic for this process. I know that we are both optimistic for this, and that there are others that are connected to us that are also very optimistic for changing things. But it is important that we need to emphasize that the changes come from within, and then it goes out around us. You do certain things to help yourself uh, work on these things. What is there any particular thing that you do that helps you to keep yourself steady on this path, if I may ask?
Yeah.
Some exercises or things, little things, some ideas?
No, I don't do anything. That's I'm now learning to be an instructor for the butterfly from Inge and Arno, and that is something, yeah, that can help you,
Okay.
but it's not something I need to do. It's something I do because I want to learn to instruct it to somebody else, to other people, to make them familiar with it. But in my existence, I don't have to do that. I don't meditate. I don't. No, I have no symbolic things. I don't have things rituals. I don't do rituals. I let that all go. When you Because everything you do is something you are dependent on. When
Exactly.
you say I meditate every morning, then you are depending on it,
Yeah.
because then there's some morning you have no opportunity to meditate. What happens to you then?
And you fall off the wagon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are completely confused.
Yeah.
So I don't do anything. I just take every moment when something happens and look at it at that moment. And maybe I will have to go in to walk in the forest, or maybe I have to just have a beer over it, or have just share it with somebody, or just keep it for myself. Everything I look at it at that moment. So yeah, maybe that's not helpful
No,
for other
no,
people,
no, no,
but
no.
that's how I do that.
There's a reason why I asked you this, because I know you don't do anything, and neither do I, to be honest with you.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
just, I asked you this because people don't need to know how to become Buddhists overnight, or Taekwondo for this or that. You can if you want to, but it's
Yeah.
not the one, but the emphasis must not be that it is the one thing that will save you, because again, it creates a dependency, as you mentioned rightly. So
Yeah.
we are becoming galactic, we are becoming multidimensional, where we don't need certain things to track us in, or to hold us in structure, in a particular structure that can sometimes be the big rock that we stumble over. When it was mentioned, careful of this rock, you will stumble over it, because you put the rock there in the first place. You know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So, exactly. We've
Yeah. Yeah.
just
That why do you stumble over the rock? Because it's a reminder for you
Yeah.
that you are not paying attention, or where you're walking, or what you're doing, or what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's also when you say something, always watch your words. But when you are looking at it as a human, I have to watch my words.
Yeah.
You are afraid to speak. So then for me, I told myself, I will always say the right words on the right time, in the right dimension. So I let the watching over the words over to my higher self, to my ascension.
Yeah.
And then I'm in that human body. I don't have to look at the words, because I know it will always be the right words I say at the right time.
Interesting. It's the same as it's so amazing, because I also have told myself that I will always find the right information. It'll always come to me at the right time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's very similar. It's basically becoming relaxed with yourself, right? That's really what it is all about. It's to become so relaxed in yourself and knowing who you are. It's not even an age thing. It's the emotional sense of feeling, just being in the moment, of relaxation. Or you don't, if you stress, look, I'm not saying I don't stress. Everybody stresses to some extent in certain ways, but to actually get out of that, you get out of that stress state quicker if you've worked on yourself to become more comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but we have learned as a human to do everything from the brain.
Yeah.
So the brain has to notice everything, has to analyze everything. So every decision is coming from the brain.
Yeah.
But the brain can't do anything. The brain is just like a computer, and we are putting stuff in, and stuff is coming out. But the brain, yeah. Yeah, the brain can't do anything. The brain is, when you look at it, it's like a basket. Something is in the basket.
Yeah,
So
basket case.
within us. So it's not your brain who is remembering things, but we have learned it in our brain, and when you have to remember things, you have to put it in the basket of your brain. But when you let it go and you put it in the bigger basket, then it's there.
Yeah.
And when you have to talk about it, or you have to mention it, or you have to do something, it will come from you, from the bigger basket, and you don't have to worry about it, because it's there. It's always there. Everything is there.
Yeah, exactly. It's shit, I've just realized. It's very similar to that little story that's somewhere in the Bible. I'm just using it as a reference, where there were these baskets that were filled with bread and fish. The emphasis was that there was never going to be enough for the masses to feed. And the baskets were used with these particular stuff that was put into it. So many times the basket is being used to emphasize that it is something that contains what it needs to contain, just enough.
Yeah, there's always enough.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. And
there's always enough information, there is always enough stuff, there is always enough.
Yeah.
And the baskets are never empty.
Correct. It's always filled with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it in the basket isn't that what you thought it would be. You didn't expect there was bread. You thought there was fish, but on that moment you need the bread.
Yes.
And when you are accepting that what's in your basket is exactly what you need at that moment, then it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you accept your basket, then everything else will come to you.
It'll
So
add on. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I'd say.
yeah. You have mentioned several times what's in the Bible, and yes, I'm a Catholic. I'm baptized and everything, but I don't go to church anymore. But the Bible is something. It's original stories are really something to look at.
Yes.
They are really true. But yeah, then people rewrite the Bible, and then things get left out, some things get put in. So, but when you are looking at the story, without the instructions of what to do and what not to do, but just the story. Why is Jesus having two baskets with bread and fish? And how is it possible he can feed the whole crowd?
Exactly.
That's the story behind the story.
Yeah. This is how I've been looking at the Bible is really, when it comes to me, like a book of history, or not a history, but a book of information. I remove the emotional and the side notes, the religion and the sciences that they've added onto it. Exactly what you're saying, looking at the story for what it is. It's a good story. Everybody watches a movie every day. It's a story as well, except these ones that you're seeing on the celluloid is more cooked to restructure your basket. When you, it may be the same in the book as well. I always have, like I've just said to you now, in the same way that you've said as well, you'll always say the right thing at the right time. I will always find the information that I need to find. Doesn't matter where it is. It can be on the side of a building as well. And it's what you decide. And so, yeah, I think we are going to be having to keep an eye on our experiences with the ship. Not by any means that it's disappeared at all. It's moved, and it's moving. We're expanding, and we will bring information in as it comes to us. And whatever comes to you, you can share with Marita or me. Marita's details will be at the end of this video as well.
Yeah.
And we're very happy to share our experiences and assist and wherever we can and answer questions as we can. And yeah, expanding ourselves to learn more about this particular process, and very grateful and very happy for everybody being part of our discussion. And thank you very much, Marita.
Yes, I'm very glad to have to talk to you again and to have sharing the experience I had and you have, and so
And we're having it.
Really exciting. Yeah, it's making it's making my life easier to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And also to have to read all the comments on YouTube that there are more people who experience these things and want to know about these things and are glad that we are talking about it. So thank you for all the people who are listening to us, and thank you for the comments, and yeah, thank you for this.
Everybody.
Thank you.
I want to just add on that Marita will have a YouTube channel sometime soon, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, it will be there in a week or so
Soon.
because I'm really busy and it's new for me and I'm not so good with technical stuff.
No, you don't have to be. Just be
Will be.
yourself.
Yeah. It will be there in due time on the right moment. It will be on air.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Much
Thank
love to you
you.
all.
Love you. Bye bye.
Okay.